cooldown right now as Ogun jumps and tries to go for an iron hook, another cheeky pick attempt from the Philippines, but they will be happy with just one base turret take. They understand that they made a mistake, they overstepped, so they'll go back to the discipline, the classic Filipino discipline, to just play around and suffocate their opponents to wait for the next neutral objective.
It's one of those situations where you look at a Valentina as like, she's got that final slash. She's probably not going to flicker forward. She's way too low. We basically one-shot her every single time. There's just no way she's going to perform that maneuver.
Alright, looking at it again though, they want to go for more! It's the most beautiful hook, threading the needle onto the marksman. Even though D7 and C-Cat, even ATM were all in front, Philippines, with that crazy mistake from Cambodia, we'll be able to capitalize fully all in onto the base. Man, what a performance, what a statement in game number 1.
A huge statement that the Philippines continues to dominate and continue the Filipino dynasty, as we've all been talking about all year round. Cambodia, they're probably going to need to start looking back at their draft one more time, because there was a lot of opportunities to try and punish or at least contest some of the picks that Brent Esports wanted to do in this particular game that was let go a couple of times. And I feel like they are missed opportunities. I think that the Cambodians, they probably want to be on red side for the upcoming game. That's probably going to give them the best option rather than going for a more flexible opener like the Valentina first pick on blue side.
Oh man, again though, like, again, what were they supposed to do in that game? It felt like even in the drafts, they thought of it pretty well. They picked up the Diggy against an Arlid. They had a lot of good things going for them, even in the early stage of the game. Getting a lot of pressure done and actually trading quite well. But again, there's something with the Philippine squad, this Bren squad, where even in the early game, when they start super slow, they always have a way to just pull that trigger and go all out. It's just the timing, I feel like, they really understand the limits of every single hero, the understanding of that composition, of the formation that they have to just, again, pull the trigger at the right time, at that power spike.
Look, when they are threading the needle, like we saw from Ogun on this Franco, I mean, what can you really say? The time is now as soon as it connects, and I feel like it's pretty straightforward for them, and especially when you have that 8K lead developed by 9 minutes into the game, it's like, as long as we don't mess up, this game is pretty free. Their high ground defense is extremely weak, they don't have an artillery mage, they have no way to really counter us unless Diggy has his time journey and it dodges like, what, 2 or 3 ultimates, but even then, there is still counterplay. Just delay, just stagger, and they'll be fine.
The staggering was absolutely on point, right? I think the crisp, clean coordination, once again, is fully displayed by Team Philippines. The way they were able to just play around that time journey was really impressive. It was sometimes the final slash just out of nowhere. Sometimes it was just the damage from Super Marco, or just simply the feathered airstrike to take that time journey away. Because with the feathered airstrike, you actually also have a slow effect down when you get hit. So it already kind of, again, slows them down, makes them or forces them to disengage from a skirmish. Considering how, ahead all of their members are, all those weapons could be utilized in a way where the time journey is going to be forced out. So that's the case for game number 1. We're going to have to see a lot of adjustments, honestly, from Cambodia in the way they execute their game plan. Because it feels like when everything's going as planned, sure, it still works. But when the plan gets scrappy, when the opponents are able to find some good team fights, they really lose that coordination.
They do. I feel like the Cambodians in this case, the draft that they played just now was very high risk, high reward, and it was all under the assumption that the early game was going to fall into their favor. And many times we hear pro players, and especially the thoughts of R7, he mentioned it, and I think he put it in words perfectly. 70% of the game is basically played in the early game as it transitions into mid, and once you have that 70% down, closing out games with that much of an advantage usually is a cakewalk unless the high ground defense is good in their draft. And I think that's why the draft is especially important, to set yourself up and really start considering the tools that you have in hand. I feel that the Cambodians, that early game could have been played, I wouldn't say it was the worst in the world, but they didn't really invest enough in the gold lane, and they weren't willing to sacrifice neutral objectives, especially when it wasn't in their favor. And you saw that Flapteezy was getting crazy steals, and more importantly so, the fact that he was a level up. At a certain point, you gotta double down. Hey, I can't do this no more. I'm gonna run to the gold lane. I'm gonna make sure that Super Marco has a hard time.
Awareness, right? They need to be really aware right now against the Philippines, who are very adaptive in the way they play, and again, it's very improv-ish, right? Whenever they take a game, sure, they have a solid draft, they have a game plan, but when anything goes south, they always have a plan B, a plan C, all the way down the line. We are going to be taking a look at the match summary, ladies and gentlemen, for game number 1 to see exactly, again, a recap as to what happened and maybe how Cambodia can try to, you know, find a solution to this huge obstacle in their way, which is Team Philippines. 18-3. Philippines have been super dominant so far at the IESF Asian Regional Qualifiers, but this game is one of the most dominant in the tournament so far, especially looking at how Cambodia have had a pretty, again, good run in the tournament. The fact that when they meet Philippines, it's still a dominant game for Philippines, it shows you just how strong they are.
They really are on a different level. Everybody from the Philippines, from the tier 2s all the way to the tier 1s, they're extremely mature. I feel like Cambodia in this case, they need a little bit of time to adjust because I feel like they had the right idea in mind, and honestly, the combos with the Diggy ult as such a big enabler, I feel is a great idea, but it's a little one-dimensional. I mean, looking at the head-to-heads even, like when we're talking about overall assists, we didn't see too many happen, even though there were very few fights where Cambodia actually traded 1-for-1.
Head-to-head as well, you can see, again, just a big discrepancy there, but Super Marco, oh my god, keeping the MVP streak alive. 2 games in a row against Vietnam. He wants to make it 3 games in a row this time around. We'll see if he can make it work, right? Because, obviously, he picked a very unorthodox hero, a hero that we haven't seen a lot from in, well, almost every single competition, right? Natan hasn't really been popular at all. So again, seeing him pull it off the way he did in this game, just farming up a storm and getting to that item power spike, super fast. 4 items, Gideon. As a Natan, you don't get those items randomly, man. You have to snowball. How do you snowball on a hero that usually doesn't really do good in the early stage of the game?
It's just about abusing timings, right? You saw the way that he was using that entropy to actually farm off of the gold plating a lot faster compared to most marksmen in the game. And I think you have to keep in mind, when you have opportunities like that, fully utilize it, fully take advantage of it. You know, you're not exactly one of those marksmen like Beatrix who can siege it from afar, Leslie who can just poke at it slowly and eventually cut it down. You have to find those windows of opportunities. And I think in this case, Super Marco, he knows exactly where he wants to be. Speaking of which, I hope that Cambodia comes up with multiple game plans. I love the ideas with these compositions, but I do think that they're investing too many eggs in one phase of the game with no real way to scale other than like, oh yeah, my marksman's gonna carry me. In a meta like we're seeing right now, you're going to need at least the secondary carry to provide that little bit extra damage, or at least be able to clean up the fights after you.
I think at that on that note, right, I feel like for Cambodia, they already kind of had that going for them. They had 2 carries, a carry in the gold lane, and also obviously that Valentina. It's just the fact that they got shut down, both of them, so early on. And again, it just has to go with the way they were able to play it, the way Philippines were able to execute their game plan. Again, the Franco just constantly in the gold lane, where the Natan already has a pretty okay time against the carry with just the outrange, you know, in his kit, right? On top of that, the Franco being there, it just really stops the carry from doing anything. And the fact that the carry went for a flicker instead of a purify here, because, you know, you wouldn't think to go for purify in that case, right? I mean, you already have a Diggy, you only have one singular, technically, hook or ability that you need to be aware of, which is the Iron Hook. You don't want to go for the Purify in that case. So again, when we think of solutions and we look at the game again, the solution can't really be applied as well. It was just really the Philippines outclassing Cambodia in game number 1.
Yeah, and again, that's why I think that they need to start looking for different outlets here. You can't have just one enabler, right? There's so many times where the EXP lane needs to start getting involved in these situations to be able to kind of zone away people very early on, and more importantly, start focusing on how they want to actually maintain control over things like if they want to play for neutral objectives, if they want to play for early game neutrals like the Turtle, for an example, maybe they should have considered getting rid of someone like Lancelot and allowing Frederick Mandarin to go through. Because again, at least you don't have to deal with iframes. These are the small interactions that the Philippines are keeping in mind going into the draft.
The Arlet pick, the Lancelot pick have always been the foundation of the Philippines squad here, technically, from IESF, from the start of the Asian Regional Qualifiers when they played, right? Even yesterday against Myanmar, the Arlet and the Lancelot, these two picks, it's honestly more towards the Arlet than the Lancelot. I think Kyle Teasy, we've seen him on a lot of different picks here. As long as it's a mobile pick, it does the same job. It does actually, have a good synergy as well with the Arlet, right? Yesterday we saw the Arlet Joy, we saw the Arlet Lancelot, and the Arlet Lancelot has just been the favorite for this team and it has worked so well. So maybe the answer isn't to ban out the Kaltizi heroes, but maybe just to respect the Arlet, because the Arlet is such a capable playmaker with a lot of these crazy flashy maneuvers. And guess what? There's not really a channeling time for that final slash. It's almost instant, right? So even if you go for the Diggy, you will have to try to predict that. You cannot react to it. You're already going to be displaced by the time you pop that time journey.
Yep, and I think that's something that we need to keep in mind for this upcoming game and see whether they made that adjustments now that Cambodia is on red side and Philippines is on blue. We see the Fanny, we see the Minotaur?
What?
Minotaur?
We're watching a Todak game?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? First the Tan came out of Cambodia, and now we're seeing the Minotaur ban from the Philippines. Like, I don't know. It could be influence coming in for MPL MY, but we're like an 8th place region, no big deal. We're not that crazy.
Okay, there you go. A little bit of a banter right there, ladies and gentlemen. Fanny will still be banned out. Still a very good hero to take away from Chama. We've seen even at M4 that Chama, when he gets heroes like the Fanny, he is able to pop off. Now, unfortunately, in game number 1, he was kind of forced into that tank hero because of what he's up against, right? Again, not really a whole lot of targets to go for as Japakito. Natan is probably the only vulnerable target, and that's another, reason as to why maybe I feel like that composition didn't work. I feel like when it comes down to utility, there's a lot of different other utility picks that could have been good for them. They forced themselves into a Paquito pick that in the end just kind of fell flat. Usually you go for damage, but at that point when you go full tank, you don't have the damage, and in terms of utility, you don't have as much utility as the other utility junglers, so it just loses its value entirely.
I do feel like it's a bit of compensation, right? You look at your composition, you're like, how many tanks do we actually have who can frontline and initiate a fight for us, right? We don't always want to sit back and wait for your opponents to respond, because then you're in this like weird hostage situation where you're like, you don't really want to make the first move. I clearly don't want to make the first move. So we're just going to dance around the turtle or the Lord until he has like 20% HP, and then we might go into a fight which resets the Lord and do it all over again.
Blue ban though, as we have said, right, with the Faramis still up for grabs, Cambodia will just go for the glue ban first here. Still the 1-1 as usual for Team Philippines. They're still looking for possibly setup for Super Marco in that gold lane. Usually we see the carry in the first phase, not the first pick though. With the Valentina banned out, maybe they want to prioritize a jungler here, but the Arlet's still left open. Maybe the Arlet could just come through. Again, one of the foundations to their drafts, but wow, I completely forgot about the Joy that this time has been left open by Cambodia. Now, usually when you see the Joy open, it has to be a creative choice, right? There is no way they accidentally let this hero go. So I'm really curious to see what Cambodia wants to pull off here to try to stop this Joy from tearing the game up. Is it a Minsathar? Is it a Franco? Is it another locker like a Kufra?
I think that it has to be... Well, I don't feel... As much as I love Kufra, against the Joy, it can be a little ineffective at times. Joy, again, has anti-CC when she's going in... If you time the dashes well. And considering that Philippines is known to have some of the most mechanical players, it may not necessarily be the best case. Answers would probably come into the Franco, which I totally agree, or also a Minsatar, something that we haven't really seen too often just yet. But in the meantime, Cambodia is going to be locking in the Eve, knowing for a fact that Valentina has been banned by them. They should be able to control the space, or at least create a kill zone so that they can push people back with the final slash, or get a clear setup from ATM on this R-Lot. I don't know. As a response, Philippines, they could also consider the Minsatar too. Minsatar works so well for both compositions considering the number of dashes that both of these heroes provide.
We'll see now with the Arlet and the Yves pick from Cambodia, right? So they're already taking away a page off of the Philippines' book, but it's still gonna be the Lancelot pickup. They really enjoy playing with Kaltizi's aggression, the way he's able to control games through the invades, and with the Lancelot, it really does facilitate that style of play. But it does show that the Joy, for the first time at the IESF qualifiers for Philippines, will not be going to the jungle. It's gonna be the Joy that you mentioned in game number 1, bringing the vengeance, right? But the Franco will be the stopper. Like we mentioned, it needs to come through. Something needs to come through, whether it's a Minsathar, a Franco, a Kufra, or even a Melissa, right? Anyone that can actually stop this Joy is definitely an addition to it, but the Franco is definitely the most reliable, second only to the Kaja.
I would say that, like, in the case of a marksman, right, it feels really bad when you can't hit somebody because of their vengeance and they do, like, a boatload of damage, on top of the fact that they can't get locked down, right? I feel like in this position that Cambodia probably should have started thinking about, instead of Franco, to hold it off and started and show off what exactly that they wanted to do in their gold lane, you know? Pick something along the lines of Melissa, or in this case, I would have really preferred to see Claude here, who, again, I feel is the Swiss Army knives for pretty much all compositions played in the meta right now. He kind of fits nicely, and there's a couple of lane matchups where he does better than most, but he's just hard to catch. That's something that Joy can't really deal with, especially with the BMI. If you place it well, it can be a powerful tool. But coming into the second phase of the bans, right? We are seeing the Kufra ban coming out from the side of Cambodia. Philippines yet to respond, but at least they're targeting the gold laners. They want to make sure they get rid of the carry. They have one already banned, and most importantly, they're making a hard read that Cambodia sorry, not making a hard read, but kind of showing that the Philippines want to kind of fill out the last 2 slots with tanks.
It's honestly well played in the drafts for Cambodia. Again, I'm always surprised with the Cambodian drafts. In game number 1 as well, the shutdown that they tried to attempt on Super Marco with his hero pool, forcing him onto a Natan that ultimately still worked out, but I like the attempts right now. This time, it is towards Ogwen, right? They've already picked up the Franco, and they've already set up with a lot of shutdown towards Ogwen from the first phase with the Kaja ban. Now with the Atlas and the Kufra, it does limit Ogwen's hero pool severely here, and we haven't really seen a whole lot of different heroes pulled off by Ogwen. Also, another option for Ogwen might be a Cho, but they pick up the Martis, another hero that just does super well against any type of initiation hero. So maybe the Grok would be the final option for Team Philippines, but even then, there's a lot of heroes right now for Cambodia that does really well against the Grok, right? You gotta take that into account. They'll pick up the Faramis first, and right now it's still a flex pick. We saw literally just in the last match, Philippines versus Vietnam, Ogwen was able to pull off the Faramis in the roam position. Now this time, I think it's a bit too risky. Too much AoE from Cambodia after the adjustments to the Faramis. You know, you do scale with the Cult Altar with magic damage. Your base HP alone on the Cult Altar base HP, it isn't too much, but you'll still go for it. It is a Faramis roam. And it's a Joy mid lane. Wow.
All right. I wasn't expecting that. I really wasn't feeling that the Philippines wanted to do this. If they really wanted to hard counter Cambodia at this point of time, all they needed to do was, hey, I have a Faramis, and then I look to get something along the lines of Lolita, because you know that Cambodia is going to be playing around, oh, I want to hard engage, I'm going to look for opportunities to take space with my anti-CC, but if all the projectiles are blocked by the Lolita shield, or at the very least you get Brock and you look to use your wild charge to bail your team out of tough situations, then you have that extra level of flexibility. But instead, they saw Cambodia, oh, you guys want to fight? We want to fight too.
This is a good draft, man. This is honestly a very, very good draft from the side of Cambodia. They have all the answers necessary towards the Philippine squad. Even the Melissa last pick there does incredible up against the Joy and the Faramis. Even the Beatrix in lane. So I expect Cambodia to be able to, you know, pull off a little bit more of a fight this time around. Chama, oh, unfortunately, Fury was actually there. He took away the little small camp from Chama, but it's all good right now. Kaltizi also going to get hooked, uses the Retribution early. Anything interesting when it comes to spells or emblems, Gideon?
Looking at the spells and emblems, honestly, nothing out of the ordinary here. Very typical stuff all across the board. I'm not sure about the sub-emblems, but I think it should be rather standard here. In the next 70 seconds or so, nothing much should technically happen, but the fact that Ogwin, he's going to be on the support, he needs to kind of work with few. Trading against CCAT is extremely easy for Joy, but as soon as it becomes a 2v2, that's when you're like a little hesitant, right? You don't necessarily want to waste your time wasting spells on a Joy who can dodge the Iron Hook, so I can see that there's a bit of a dilemma in the mid lane.
Ooh, this is the lane that does really well for the Arlet though, right? I mean, that winning matchup already set up by Cambodia as well. Something definitely that they can utilize, and they're already utilizing it here. Chama with a very aggressive invade, understanding that Few doesn't have the ultimate yet, no electrifying beats, so he should still be able to soak in that damage, coming in just from the rhythm. Whereas in the bottom lane as well, it feels like, again, Vernix Flash have set up a lot of these winning lanes that are doing really good right now. Melissa into Beatrix, Arlet into Lapu, they just need to utilize it more. They need to capitalize, and they cannot let Kyle Teasy invade as he pleases.
But here's the problem, right? If, let's say, Cambodia wants to start pushing back against Kaltizi invading, they're going to need to forcefully get priority over those side lanes, right? So you're expecting Beatrix to use one of her ults. You're expecting Lapu to use one of those ults. And for Lapu, it's pretty horrendous if you have to use the bravest fighter just to clear a wave, just to be part of a fight. And Philippines, they recognize this, right? So that's why they are allowing their side laners to be aggressive, and that's why they're getting these Iron Hooks on people out of position. Oh, Cambodia, they find first blood.
Good targeting there with electrifying beats, but Vengeance comes through. That's a lot of damage placed on, and it's still going to be Kyle Teasy who secures the retreat. Super Chama able to escape. ATM missing there with the stun. It's going to be Few who punishes ATM, maybe looking for a kill, but again, it's Kyle Teasy who wants to push even further, invading the jungle, and down below, how do you do it? Super Marco does it again. It's a 1v1, and he doesn't even let Fury pop the Inspire.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Fury must have really got caught off guard there. I was expecting him to at least get the Inspire off to make sure that he lives, or at the very least, trade evenly against Super Marco, but he's doing something right, and I don't know whether we can show you guys that replay of that 1v1, because it's straight up murder.
No Inspire. I don't know if that was, again, a creative choice. ATM now jumping in, but gets stunned up, and that might just be a solo kill, but ATM with an outplay up in the top lane under the tier 1, utilizing that final slash, but Few will be able to come up and try to punish him. ATM, though, with a few good resets in the Vengeance, is able to survive. Again, just holding on to the lead that Cambodia has in the XP lane.
Man, FlapTC just needed to get that one auto attack off, and as soon as he realized that the animation got cancelled, he was like, oh no, I'm out of here. Iron Hook connects!
See, Ogwen again going to be punished down. Chama with a displacement now, bringing Super Marco back to the team with a Mortal Coil, but there's not going to be enough damage to actually follow it up now. The go away, forcing Few out, has the Vengeance, a good snipe by Super Marco with an Iron Hook to respond it over to with a Flicker as well. Cambodia this game, sure, it's still Philippines with the lead, but Cambodia are not letting Philippines do as they please.
Yep, they've got the lead now. They at least have a 2-kill lead over them, but the Philippines are still ahead in gold. They're still about, what, 900, 800? Yeah, about 900 gold at this point of time. But let's see. Philippines, the next play that we're going to expect to see from them. Like, look at this. The Iron Hook is good, but that's not all. This was the very first Iron Hook. This is another one coming up in a little bit. And that's why you got to be careful when you see a Cambodia lock in this Franco. I think in many international tournaments, it's been very nasty.
Man, it has really been. Super Chama though. Whoa, what happened here? Turtle control held on by Cambodia. Kyle Teasy with a miss on that retreat. No! ATM gets pulled back by the Shadow Stampede, only to give an assist over. Ogwen assisting the enemy team to take him down there. And ATM will definitely be happy with that. Jumps in with the final slash as well to clear out the waves. And hey, that's the equalizer that Cambodia were looking for.
Now they take a very clean lead over the Philippines. It doesn't mean that the Philippines is out of this just yet. They still do need a little bit of time, especially for Super Marco, right? He's been farming hard, but he doesn't have access to mystery shops, so he doesn't get those discounts. He's gonna have to do it the good old-fashioned way, just farming up in the lane and dragging this out for a little bit longer.
Here, though, in the XP lane, despite ATM having a 2-kill lead over FlapTZ, it still is FlapTZ who has done more damage to the turret, doing pretty good, actually, as a Lapu against the Arlet. You'd expect the Lapu to be the one bullied here, to have the turret being as low as ATM's, but hey, I'm curious to see what FlapTZ actually built up here. Definitely a steal leg plays, but did he go for the Bloodlust Axe instantly? We'll have to take a look later on. Again, he's just going to be using Bravest Fighter to constantly clear out the waves, trying to go in for the stun as well. ATM needs to respect this Bravest Fighter, and it's still going to be FlapTZ who just clears out the wave, so that's how he's able to escape from a lot of the kill pressure that ATM has. But with that shove, it does give ATM a chance to freeze the wave, but he actually miscalculates a bit there.
Wait, what's going on in the mid lane here? It feels like Cambodia was like posturing themselves for a potential ambush, but it didn't seem to be successful, right? But the ambush was coming at a good timing. There's like 7 more seconds until the turtle comes up, and we're seeing that both EXP laners are making their way down bot side.
Oh, almost another good Renner's Apathy. Fury able to just read that out. Gold buff taken away by Super Marco. Turtle number 3, Hook only connecting onto the turtle. KalTZ 2 levels up. Super Chama looking for that retry battle, but KalTZ jumps in with a Phantom Execution, and even the puncture! He's able to space away from the bloody hunt. Beautiful plays as the Cold Ulcer comes down, giving KalTZ another HP bar to play with. FlapTZ with the Bravest Fighter onto Fury, picking up a double kill, as that's View with the electrifying beats. One more shot on towards Chama, but he will not do it. In the bottom lane, you do see a kill as View dives in. The turret almost takes him down. CCat noticing it now, trying to punish him down, but he has to be careful because Bren and Team Philippines right now have been able to secure pure control even in Cambodia's jungle.
Yep, they've taken all the tier 1 outer turrets right now, and that's huge for them. Now the jungle is getting invaded constantly. Super Marco is having the time of his life right now, despite the 2v1. As long as the Iron Hook is on cooldown, he's going to disrespect that space.
Wow. Just wow. KalTZ, that was an absolutely phenomenal play. I can't move on, Gideon. The way he was able to just space and bob and weave around the bloody hunt, that's a target auto-lock ability. How do you dodge away from that? That was... on top of that, he got the retry on the turtle. So he wasn't just dodging away, it was simultaneously also putting his focus on that HP bar.
Yeah, he is just a different beast, man. It feels like he's playing on a tablet or something because he's getting more, it feels like he has more vision than he should. But I have to admit, after watching him play like that and considering your response, does that make you want to switch back into the jungle role just to play Lancelot?
I don't know about that, man, because right now it does seem like ATM is getting in a bit of a pickle. That's a dive, and that's Super Marco with the snipe, unable to connect View, doing some damage, but ATM is able to utilize the reset super well. It's an outplay coming in with the rotations as well. The reaction from Cambodia, absolutely massive, and a decimation follows Super Marco through. KalTZ will try to look for a trade down below, but it's still not going to be worth it, definitely. Cambodia with an amazing punish.
Yeah, the reaction time was insane, but KalTZ, it's all up to him. If he wants to make this steal, this is your moment.
If he does this, if he makes this miracle play happen, Gideon, then yes, I want to be a jungler again. But again, there's just no way he can go for that. If he does, oh man, I don't know what I'd say. KalTZ will just choose to clear out that bottom lane, but Philippines, you can already see a few of these cracks now. A few of their mistakes have been exploited, and Cambodia have done a really good job with the reactive plays, just waiting for the proactive movements from Philippines, waiting for them to overcommit and overextend.
I mean, considering what the Raging Slash was doing in the middle of that fight under the tier 2 does bring up a couple of questions. And I think the Philippines were getting comfortable, but not for long.
Oh, Gwen. Drop back to the team here, has the call alter. Able to escape for a bit. Super Chama gonna be baited into the fight as FlapTZ access that frontliner in the front. Still just baiting a few resources, not wanting to fully commit. Philippines understand, and even Cambodia. Cambodia has the Lord here. Dying there would definitely be a disaster. And Fury, the item power pick that I was waiting for on that Melissa. A gold sap buy in the 10th minute of the game, and now he's gonna have even more pressure to play with. But Kyle, never standing idly by. He's always doing something, and he's stealing away the purple buff this time around, getting the turret in the bottom lane, and now puncturing out to safety. They're trying to chase him down, but it might just be a reactive play. Super Marco definitely going to be engaged on his FlapTZ. Jumps in, Brave is by the back line, but the bloody hunt locks you down, and that's the damage to come through. That's one roamer. The final slash isolates. Super Chama as he looks for more. It's still going to be Super Marco kiting away with Renner, just utilizing that range. But Cambodia again, it's the reactive plays over the reactive plays, and it keeps on going.
Yep, they're disgustingly good, especially their reaction times. Like, you gotta give it to Fury there. In this replay alone, you can see, oh, this looks like an overextension, but Fury immediately pops the ult early, delays his dash just to get the initial bounce off to allow D7 to live a little bit longer so the rest of his team can posture around and then start cutting them down one by one. Like, Chima on this Martis, he is looking a lot better compared to game number 1.
Oh, doing a lot better is definitely an understatement, Gideon, right? He is doing absolute wonders because not only is he playing really well in these team fights, but he's also sometimes out-retrying Kyle TZ. He's able to keep it head-to-head, you know, a level playing field despite him being 2 levels behind. Chamaz looking for that steal once again, but Kyle TZ will be able to out-retry him this time around with a Phantom Execution as well. But look at the back line! Super Marco got caught in the bloody hunt, and it is a chaotic team fight. Definitely benefited by the side of Cambodia. But few now with electrifying beats and the bench able to jump into the back line with Super Shimon trying to escape with the Mortal. The Iron Hook not going to be able to connect. Now it's Fuse waiting on the cooldowns, dashing in, dashing back again. The final splash, but ATM will fall. The chaotic team fight in the end is worth it for Team Philippines.
Oh, I feel so bad for Few. After all that commitment, he still wasn't able to take out Shima for the shutdown, as Shima had a nice sidestep before the dash connected, resulting in no resets and being left out to dry. And now, with this Luna's Lord, well, this regular Lord, Elemental Lord, on the horizon, let's see how they play it out as FlapTZ gets locked down.
Flap waiting for the Brave Spider now, goes in for the stun, uses the anti-CC part of the ultimate right now. Super Chama gets, well, unfortunately isn't able to get anything done there, just disengages with the help of the cover provided by the team. Conceal by D7. Again, looking for a random pick here. The Philippines, well, again, just back up. They will utilize the Lord to go for another push, another attempt at a siege on Cambodia's base.
Alright, let's see how the siege is going to work out, right? Because in terms of high ground defense, at least with Cambodia's lineup, with this Melissa, it becomes so much easier to handle, plus the Eve as well. They've got plenty of ways to peel, to play front to front, and honestly, for the Philippines, it's starting to get difficult, right? It's starting to show that jumping into the backline, playing back to front against Cambodia with the lineup that they have, it's no easy task. And FlapTZ, no matter how far he jumps forward, D7 locks him down.
Oh man, Few definitely overextending there, punished almost instantaneously. Ogwen with a cold ultra to try to save Few, but ends up dying as well. It's all just a distraction. Technically, FlapTZ to go for the base turret down below. 2 kills over, a roamer and a mid laner for the base turret. Looking at their score and their stat line, honestly, I would have to say it's still worth it here, Gideon.
I would say that is very worth it for Cambodia. They even equalize the score. They don't lose any inhibitors as well. And I feel like the Philippines, the fact that they dropped the ball, all right, fine. We have to play for the ultra late game here. It's not about scaling anymore. It's about just having enough gold for utility items to be swapped out when the time calls for it.
At this point, right, with more map pressure that they were able to get with that turret as well, they're going to be able to utilize that, and they're going to be able to actually get some more vision on the Franco. Kyle TZ's got to be careful here. D7, I thought he wanted to go for a flicker. towards the bloody hunt maybe to look for it, but unfortunately he wasn't able to do it. Kaltizi with a good Thorn Rose and a good disengage. Both teams will just play it safe again, right? They don't really want to go for anything too crazy with no neutral objectives up. Cambodia, later the game goes, I actually need to ask you this question, Gideon. Who has the upper hand when it comes to late game?
When it comes down to late game, I will say that Cambodia has a very slight advantage here. When it comes down to overall team fights, I will say that Ogwen will get to a point where he basically could potentially just one-shot Fury, depending on what his build is. I'm not sure what he's going for just yet, but I know that he's got the traditional utility items. I want to see how he tops off his build. Some people go for damage, other people start thinking, you know what, since this game is going on so long, I might as well just get an Clock of Destinies, like a 4th item as a support, because why not? At this point, even if I try to go for Necklace of Durant, it probably wouldn't matter because the majority of my teammates already have it inbuilt at the very least for the anti-healing. So he could just potentially, I would say, Divine Glaive, best probable answer.
Nice final slash to isolate Flapteezy right now. Super Marco is able to free hit in the back line, but the real world manipulation does its work. Look at the back line of Cambodia, though. Right now, they're trying to deal some damage, but it is going to be Ogwen. He gets taken down. One roamer for XPSView is looking for one more hit. He finds it onto Seacat. He gets punished as well, though, and it's a 2-for-2 trade. Both teams having 3 members up, and even their gold laners and their junglers. So both these teams are still very capable of going for a Lord Dance.
Yeah, it's not easy, but the fact that they traded evenly does show you that Cambodia, they're building up confidence. They're like, okay, we've recovered. We managed to minimize the bleeding, and yes, our inhibitor is exposed, and that's something that the Philippines can actually abuse, but at the very least, if it boils down to a 5v5, Cambodia has a damn good chance at taking this home.
Flap already trying to zone Super Chima away now with Ogwen as well. That's a Shadow Stampede, baiting out the Mortal Coil, and that should do it right there. Unless D7 is able to make a Flicker play onto the Bloody Hunt here, Kaltizi gets it. Flicker Bloody Hunt on towards Ogwen. Only the rover right now as he flickers forward there, gets brought back actually. There's going to be a Renner's Apathy onto D7. Philippines definitely will be happy with a trade. A Lord this time around enhanced only for a roamer.
Yep. That's pretty worth it for the side of the Philippines, and especially if any target were to die, it would have to be Ogwen. At least with the Farmer's passive, he can come back up a lot sooner compared to some of his other teammates, depending on the number of stacks he had, which I would say was roughly around 12, 11 around there, considering that he still isn't up instantaneously. With that being said, Cambodia back up to their high ground defense. This should be the rest of their outer turrets, and I think they're strong enough to take down this Lord, no problem. So that should result in at least one other inhibitor cracked open.
Let's see if they can do it. Flap. Oh, real world manipulation and the final slash was used up. Flap able to flicker out before D7 pops in that Bloody Hunt. And Cambodia are doing a really good job at the defense right now, right? They're able to micromanage all the waves and even the enhanced Lord. So 0 base turrets taken here by Team Philippines. Cambodia holding out strong.
Yeah, I mean, they're airtight right now, and that's good to see from BurnX Flash. I mean, they are the champions of their region. They are going to go to MSC, and considering how they're evening up against the first-seeded team in the MPLPH,
Gotta be careful, D7, gun down. Oh, a big pickoff for Philippines. Unfortunately for Cambodia, they're gonna have to fall back now, and they will not have any say into their own jungle for the next 30 seconds. They don't have their frontliner and their main source of vision.
Dude, the Caster Curse is so real. This has happened twice already in the same game. Usually it like paces itself over the best of 5, but in the same game, come on. Hopefully we see that Cambodia.
It's because we're online, Gideon. It's the delay. It gets them.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's probably the reason why. But now, the next defense here, let's see whether Cambodia can hold strong.
Bravest fighter, now C-Cat, needs to be careful, able to dodge away from the stun, but that's gonna be a final slash onto the back. A beautiful one here by ATM, he jumps back and forth. The Cold Ulcer saves him for a bit, but the Vengeance is popped right before the Bloody Hunt, so it saves View. The Menace Rage comes down, Fury is able to pick up one kill off, Oakwood flickers back to safety. D7 waiting on that Iron Hook cooldown, having the flicker. ATM gonna be cancelled of his own recall here, and it's still okay for Philippines. Sure, they do lose Flap TZ, but they do get another base turret. More map pressure. Auto minion waves pushing in both side lanes now.
Alright, it's very clear that Cambodia has the stronger front to back composition. I mean, looking at this replay, you can see that the Philippines must dive super deep if they want to get anywhere near C-Cat or Fury. But as soon as they do, you can see the entire team of Cambodia push them forward, and ATM with the flicker final slash to put Super Marco out of that fight, it becomes so much easier for Cambodia to pump out damage.
Okay, they're utilizing the Magic Sentry really well there, spawning Super Marco out, maybe an attempt at a split push there, but now with one member down, D7 with the conceal looking for Super Marco. This could be disastrous right now. Super Marco is all the way in the back. That's a go away, baited out by Few, beautifully played. Kyle Teasy looking for the 50-50 play with Super Chama right now, as Flap Teasy jumps into the Raven Spider once again, buying some time right now. The model placement is going to be on point. Retreat battle, 50-50! It's Kyle Teasy with the steal, and in the top lane, Super Marco, who's now looking for that split push play. Few delaying the recalls, delaying the movement. Super Marco with the maneuvers up top. Doesn't have the flicker, but will be able to come down the base all the way to take the victory for Team Philippines. Match point.
Oh, they steal it away from Cambodia again when they realized, oh man, that this front to front is not working out as good as we thought it would. They sneak Super Marco for the flank again and go for the big backdoor that mattered. And even, okay, worst comes to worst, even the team fight 4v5 by Lord side, Few was huge there. He was able to clean up a majority of them before they even got to the crystal to stop Super Marco.
That was absolutely well played. Again, Gideon, that final 50-50, they really said, you know what? Sure, if they want to go for the mechanical plays, if they want to just team fight and skirmish, we can play that way too. They went all the way. That was without Super Marco. Super Marco was zoned completely out already, but because the Philippines were able to kind of force Cambodia into that desperate spot with the buildup of waves in that top lane and the bottom lane, those side lanes auto pushing again, it just gave Cambodia such a hard time, and they were forced to take that desperate 50-50. It could have worked, right? It all relied on that retribution, because the minion wave would have spawned in actually with the Lord to maybe cancel Super Marco's this split push attempt, right? Thing is, man, Kyle Teasy was able to win that retry battle.
Yeah, Kyle, first of all, Kyle TZ did win that retry battle, but I think that Brent also specifically waited for the next wave to spawn before they actually committed to the split push. So I would say that Brent had perfectly timed everything. They've set up for a potential opportunity for that backdoor to happen. They were willing to take the 50-50, and whatever the result was going to be, they would be in prime position to have a little bit of luck on their side to conveniently lay itself upon them and close out the game.
GG, well played. I thought in the draft as well that, you know, this is probably the best draft that we've seen from Cambodia. A very good reactive draft, a lot of counters there, and you could already see it in the game. They were able to utilize so many of their winning conditions throughout the game, flipping a lot of these team fights that looked good initially for the side of the Philippines, but then Cambodia takes it, but then again, the Philippines were able to take it, and it was just back and forth. An amazing game number 2. Definitely worth it. Definitely value for a playoff match.
Yes, no, the adjustments from Cambodia have been great. I think, you know, at least for the Philippines, they're going to take a step back, and it's like, guys, as much fun as we were having in game number 1, game number 2, we nearly dropped the ball there. Let's focus back up. We're not trying to keep freestyling it as much as we can. We don't want to get randomly knocked up while holding the belt. So let's just calm down for a second and really start thinking about our jabs. Because again, if it's a traditional front to front, Beatrix, once she doesn't have her ultimates and are required to focus on just her auto attacks, she's not as good as other marksmen because she has an ammo system while everybody else can pretty much throw auto attacks freely.
There you have it, right? I mean, in these team fights as well, you could see that just a lot of these mechanical displays were shown by Team Cambodia. Arlet, especially ATM, where it was able to make a lot of these crazy final slash moments to actually, display some of these members. Super Marco was caught off a few times in these skirmishes that ultimately gave the team fight victory over to Cambodia, but it's still kind of like exactly what we mentioned in the start, Gideon. Both these countries are playing with their unique playstyle. Cambodia with their super aggressive, skirmish heavy, pick-off heavy composition, and its Philippines with the objective gameplay, because that's in the end how they were able to close out the game, right? It wasn't through a team fight, it was through that objective control, it was through that macro play, the wave manipulation as well, that all led up to the split push.
Exactly. They know their timings very, very well. And I think, that's a really good masterclass of how to actually abuse the fact that these Lord dances are taking too long. And you have Beatrix, who does a ton of damage to structures all across the board, whether it be Crystal, whether it be an enhanced Lord, doesn't really matter. There's so many things that she takes out. Just give her enough time. But with that said, I'm curious to see what the stats are going to be looking like overall, right? And especially for the MVP, like, it could go to pretty much anybody from the side of the Philippines.
Definitely. I think everyone played their part, right? But if I were to choose, I have to go with Kaltizi, man. He absolutely styled. A lot of these neutral objective takes came down to the man himself, Kaltizi. And I still will not move on from the fact that he was able to space out away from an auto-target skill while also going for the steal onto the turtle, right? I think he's definitely the standout in this game. Maybe we could give it up also for Super Marco, right? He played really well, but we are going to be taking a look at the match summary, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll take a look at the recap of the post-match summary of what exactly happened, because again, this is a very long game. I think the longest game, the Asian Regional Qualifier. Gideon.
Yes, I mean, this has been, it takes a while because you can see that the Philippines, as much as their draft allowed them to like, oh yeah, we can take any fights, we've got Ogwen to take care of us. Ogwen was struggling himself. You can see that Cambodia was specifically targeting both Super Marco and as well as Ogwen with those iron hooks. Everybody else is a consolation prize because they know that few Flaptizi and Karltizi will have to get really close up and personal, and that's when Cambodia can actually respond, and their only proactive play is to find those few picks. Especially when the call altar is down, that's when Cambodia can say, now they've got no defensive tools, we can start taking space forward inch by inch.
We've been seeing a whole lot of these games, Gideon. A whole lot of the games where, the team with more kills ultimately ends up losing the game. 24-12. Cambodia had 2 times the amount of kills Philippines had, but exactly, it comes down to the identities of these countries. We said it, and it is absolutely phenomenal here. I did not expect it to be this far in terms of kills and even assists here. Cambodia were able to really win out and shut Philippines down in terms of the team fights that they took. But yeah, again, I guess you can say that objectives are the winning condition ultimately for this game, right?
Here's the thing, right? A lot of people say objectives are important, and I agree with you. There's always a benefit to it. But Philippines, they take into consideration the important situations where they can actually abuse their opponents. And our MVP, Kaltizi, right? He is communicating with everybody. Hey, this is what I am capable of, right? What else can everybody do together as a proactive play? And I think that's what sets the Philippines apart from everybody else. They're looking for multiple avenues, and once they have a cohesive plan, they start talking about the timings of when it needs to occur. That's when it becomes difficult to play the game, because it feels like you're playing against 5 people rather than 5 individuals.
Man, Kaltizi, that performance was again just absolutely phenomenal, and he definitely deserves this MVP. He broke his teammates' MVP train, MVP streak, but it's fine, right? As long as you get the game under your belt. Game number 2 now match point for Philippines, and Gideon, if they win this one, they will go to the Asian IESF, they're gonna go to the Asian Championships, the offline Asian Championships, to qualify for it as a top seed without dropping a single game. That is absolutely insane, Wow, not dropping a single game.
not dropping a single game here. I mean, most people, and especially for the Filipino fans, they're gonna be like, yeah, as expected, you know, this is what we want to see from our top seed at the MPL right now. And I'm like, fair enough. I cannot blame you, because Bren has been looking super hot the entire year, from going to SEA Games with the Cebu qualifiers. They've shown us what they are very capable of, and very almost similarly to MPL ID, you know, Onic ID in this case, it feels like they're a cut above the rest, and I'm hoping to see from every region what that cut is going to look like.
I always do get to see that matchup, right? I mean, everybody's already, and that's one of the most anticipated fights and matchups definitely for MLBB, and we'll definitely get the chance to see that as well. Philippines here will be still fighting on for later on the main stage spot, but they've already qualified to the Asian Championships, ladies and gentlemen. Even Cambodia have also qualified to the Asian Championship. So both of these teams, the winner of this match will actually determine the seeding of these teams, right? First place and second place into that Asian Championship as we enter into game number 3, possibly the last game in the series if Philippines are able to win it out. Now for Cambodia, obviously the optimal route is to go and get a game right here. They want to be seeded first. You get a lot of benefits through that seeding.
Yes, they do get a lot of benefits, and especially with how the format is set, getting that first seed allows you to kind of feel a little bit more relaxed in the future. So it's all about future investment here if they can secure this game. Now we see Cambodia on blue side, Philippines on red side, and once again the drafts haven't changed too much, except at least with Cambodia, they're like, Kyle, stop it. No Fanny for you, no Lancelot. Hell no.
Oh, it's funny because we actually said last game that maybe it's not Kyle. Maybe they need to take the audit away. They did. And hey, no, it did not work. So I guess, yeah, the route is to go for 5 bans, but they won't go for 5 bans. So just take away the Fanny and the Lance, okay? The Lance, that hero on Kyle, on this, I don't know what it is with the TZ and the Ks, with the amazing Lancelots, right? It's Carl TZ back in the day. Now it's Kyle TZ. Their Lancelot, it always seems to be the best in the world, man.
I don't know. I have no idea. Even my surname has a K in it, and I don't play Lancelot like that at all. Maybe I'm just missing the TZ at the back, but I'm more of a QT guy. I'm more of a QT guy, sorry. It's literally in my name. Getting in Q, just add the T. I don't know how he obtained his one, but I'm gonna have to call my older brother for some of the specifics of that. But Philippines, once again, this Minotaur ban, it's like I am getting PTSD from watching Todak matches during the playoffs and whipping out weird things like Natan as well as Minotaur. Maybe they scrimmed against Cambodia and that's how they got the idea.
Maybe, right? Obviously, a lot of these teams, like from the Philippines, they don't scrim with Filipino teams. They scrim with other teams across the world, just, you know, to prepare for their MPL. So maybe you're right. Maybe they have seen in scrims Cambodia absolutely pop off on heroes like the Minotaur, but it is still going to be a Yves first pick for the side of Cambodia. Now for Philippines, right, it's still the common pattern. It's still set up for Super Marco. Now you got, your name is Gideon Q, you're more of a cutie guy, there's a TZ guy, I'm more of a super guy, right? Like my brother Super Marco. Super Mirko, we're pretty similar, both in gold lane skill and casting skill, right? Kaja, also picked up by Team Philippines. That's a comfort pick for Ogwen that has been banned out so far throughout the series.
So you're basically your game skill and as well as casting skill is about Mythic Honor, and honestly, you know, bouncing between the two. But obviously, I think it's a good position for the Philippines, right? When you see the Valentina get banned out, and especially since Kaja wasn't banned too, this is a perfect situation. And now you showed off your mage. Oh, go for it. Try and make Ogwen's pick, the Farmis in the support section, work for yourself. It isn't as easy as it looks. You're not as tanky, you don't scale as quickly, you're always like looking for money, you're always running out of mana as well. By all means, take the Yves. We're happy with Glue and as well as Kaja.
With the Glue and the Kaja though, right? I mean, that's the thing again. For Cambodia, they picked up the Yves very early on, so it does already kind of deny the rest of the team or the rest of the draft for that Fairness pick, right? it's going to be very hard to pull off the Fair Mist now, and even if they do, it's going to be a roaming Fair Mist. You can't really flex that Yve anywhere, and that's what's tough. So they will just double down on the Yve. They will double down on what they wanted to do from the start, which is a front-to-back composition, and it's going to be the Arlet again. Now this time, the Arlet up against the Glue, it is the opposite matchup, right? We saw the Arlet on the hands of FlapTZ, and it was Mr. ATM on the Glue. Now it's swapped, so we'll see if if FlapTZ can make the same outcome happen with a different hero.
Yeah, personally, I don't really like this carry being showed off this early on. I feel like, if anything, a Melissa just to kind of tell you, hey, Blue, it's not going to be easy to get on top of me. If you decide to go for Artillery Mage, we can at least start looking for things like Grok and then start thinking about Arlat some other time, right? In this particular case, Cambodia is purposefully going for Arlat carry because, hey, number one, if Arlat gets on top of carry, there's not a lot that you can really do about it unless you have a Winds of Nature or maybe a battle spell that helps you actually go one against one against the Arlat. But in most situations, marksman just can't deal with this overall damage, right? Philippines, on the other hand, I like their opening with the Gluon as well as the Kaja, and I like the fact that they're going to be locking in the Beatrix early on. At this point, they've decided on, hey, we already got the Glue, we can force priority in the side lanes, all we gotta fix is our mid lane, but with strong side lanes, we can contest for the river so often. Like, the borders are very, very clear for us.
Also, they really understand what they're going for, right? They have proper foresight, and this is something that Philippines and Cambodia both have had throughout the series. Even though Philippines have won both of these games, Cambodia have been pretty impressive in the drafting department, right? Last game, I even actually preferred the draft coming in from Cambodia, especially for the skirmishes, and they were able to utilize that a lot. Now, for Philippines, they already have the Kaja. A good hero that could actually stop the Kaja from going for these proactive movements would be the Kufra, right? So Kufra banned out straight here. We'll see if they go for another type of roamer that can do kind of a similar job, especially up against a Beatrix as well, that usually wants to just go for Flicker, no other option available. The Atlas becomes a very viable choice for Cambodia to go for right now. Knowing that the roamer has already been picked up by Ogwen, there's a very slim chance of a Diggy appearing here.
Yeah, this is an extremely slim chance, and personally, I don't think they want to play Diggy. With the lineups that we're seeing so far, like, for Cambodia, I feel like Diggy is a little bit more beneficial, but for Philippines, absolutely not. You're just wasting your time with it. And, more importantly, let's imagine, right? They're obviously not going to play Kaja as well as Diggy at the same time, but let's say we switch the Kaja for the Diggy. How does that really benefit your composition if you have nothing to capitalize with the time journey? We're already seeing that Farsa gets banned out. We also see Farmis get banned out, which only leaves Philippines with a couple of picks. And the Julian was not where my head was at. I definitely thought that would be like a Lilia or something along those lines.
The Julian, wow. Definitely didn't expect the Julian pick to come through as well. But I guess I kind of understand, right? Oh, there you go, the Estes pickup as well. Was about to just, go on about the Julian, but even the Estes coming through here for Cambodia, it definitely gives, there you go, a vibe, a certain vibe, something that we've seen before, and it's the Estes and the Barat, the combo that we've seen time and time again. And fun fact, the last team to represent the Philippines at the last IESF was Blacklist International with their signature Ube strat. And this is their strategy, right? This is the Barats into the Estes and a mobile XP laner with the Yve as well. So we'll see if they can pull that off here up against Philippines, because if anyone has faced that Ube style, it's definitely the Filipino teams. They faced a whole lot of the Ube compositions in their own MPL.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I feel like Chichma is thinking like, man, I really wish I could play the Martis, but when I'm going up against someone like Kaja, I would rather just sit on top of the Lord or the Turtle, press my ult, and then hit Retribution. I don't want any opportunity for Kyle TZ to steal away neutral objectives. He did it in game number 2. I don't want it to happen in game number 3, but even then, this is where we're going to see a true test of skill from Kyle TZ. Like, he's going to be able to get in and out of fights pretty quickly, and for a fact that we know that he's not going to utilize the Demon Slayer because he's playing Hayabusa. He wants the killing spree, so generally we should expect him to actually fall behind on levels in comparison to Chichma on this Barats.
Exactly, and that's why I'm not too big of a fan of the Hayabusa pick, but then you tell me that it's Kaltizi on it, then okay, maybe we'll give him some leeway, right? The plays he's been able to create in the last 2 games have been absolutely magical, so we'll see if he can make those magical plays happen again here with a composition that's built to counter the assassins. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 3. Cambodia with a chance to equalize, starting with their first game. Or will it be Philippines who just takes a clean sweep?
What? 3 in the mid lane coming in from Brent super early on? That's interesting. They want to make sure that Few is able to hit level 2 super quick, but they don't want to risk actually proxying the wave. What an interesting way to play level 1.
It's very, very interesting, right? I mean, again, the killing pressure is definitely what you want to try to utilize here as the Julian. Ogun already opening it up right now. Who gets it? It's actually Kaltizi, I believe, who takes it there. Or one of the Filipino members was able to actually take it. It should just be Kaltizi who took it with the Retribution earlier. Now, enhanced chain as well. CCAT already chunked really low. And that level 2, quick level 2 really has there's a lot of benefits to it as a Julian. Maybe if you're on a Eve, you don't want to do this, but on a Julian, getting level 3, you have all your abilities up, right? So again, that power spike comes in super early, and that's what they were doing so that he can actually have more pressure in lane.
Yep, clear up these waves immediately. You're looking for Estes. He is free food for you. If you get his flicker out, you know he's not gonna. If he recalls early, he's not gonna hit level 4 in time for the neutral objective. And I think that's what the Philippines are looking for, but there's so much denial of information, right? Like, Cambodia also recognized that this could be a weak point, so they're purposefully not showing D7's face anytime soon, but they will meet in the mid lane right now.
Again, you can already see the pressure placed on by Few. Already a lot of damage right now. Chama has joined in the fray, and the final slash brings them back. Ogwen and Few both the flicker. Few, though, running to the wrong side of the map. This may just be a kill over to Cambodia. Few still able to use the enhanced sword. Will it be? Nope, it's not going to be an execute. It will be first blood, but luckily for Few, it is only on to D7, the Estes.
Yeah, but that does mean that D7, he didn't use his flicker at all. And I like the call coming in to Philippines. It's like, guys, we botched it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to touch this neutral objective. Just posture for it. I'ma steal their camps. The longer they waste just dancing around the turtle, the better it is for us, guys. Let's just chill.
They put a lot of pressure, though, down below as well. Not just with the invade here, but unfortunately for Team Philippines, it was a very good clear from Fury. Well played there. Just clears it out, never letting the wave build up. And Super Chaman notices that as well. Notices that the Hayabusa is not here. He needs to try to go for some steals by himself as well. And here, he will be able to claim the Lethal Wanderer as well. But Kaltizi has a level lead now, jumping in onto D7 with the Shadow Kill as well. Good flicker out, but Kyle through with the Quad Shadow, now caught, and it's almost going to be a kill over. CCAT finds it. Kaltizi is down. Few forced to use the enhanced sword, and Cambodia right now have Philippines' number.
Dang, call the man CCAT, change his name to C-Bat because that was sexy, man. Whoo! He made sure that it covered the entire stretch. He made sure that it was angled in a way predicting the movements of Kaltizi and making sure that he gets burnt down. Oh, Super Marco. Oh!
Oh, speaking of CCAT, right there, the Divine Judgment is actually going to be able to give Super Chama the range to actually use that Retribution to take him down. And now the carry's going to have a lot to say in that shield turret down below. Few just trying to stop Chama from the rotations. But Cambodia are doing really, really good in the early game, just like game number 2.
Yeah, hopefully we do see that Cambodia is able to maintain this lead, and I think that's been quite the struggle considering the crazy plays that the Philippines have been pulling off so far. Like, they are willing to go 2v3 if they get a pick and escape if it means victory in this game.
Absolutely, man. You know, the early game says a lot. Like we mentioned, it is going to be building up. Oh, final slash there, dodged away from by Flap TZ. A little bit of a skill use there, mistap. Ogwen looking for that pick off as well. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have the Divine Judgment. It's just up now. A little bit of a bad timing there, but it's all good. Philippines can just rotate over again to the turtle, this time with a man advantage, knowing that Eve is down below. They capitalize instantly, just jumping in, collapsing onto Super Chama, but he's super tanky here on the Barats. Has used the Death Eater's Welcome right now as the split foot comes down, forcing the Shadow Kill to come through right now. It should just be Kyle Teasy who takes away the neutral objective, but will fall for the second time in this game as the Hayabusa.
Oh, that's so unlucky here. They know for a fact that Glue can pull you out of the way, but without your marksman nearby to actually help you chunk down the Lord, the timing is just so off. The health of the turtle staying so healthy for so long, out of retribution range, and Super Shima, I feel like he got cheated out of that neutral.
Definitely, man. That Super Chama was brought out. Oh, phew, just barely getting off, flickering as well. Wow, good read there. CCAT with a flicker burn, so 1 for 1 in terms of flickers. More pressure for CCAT to play with because obviously Few is forced to recall. Just a good read overall though. Right now, what's strange is Philippines still has the lead when it comes to the gold department. I don't understand. It should just be because obviously of the turret up top, but mainly how they're farming, how they're last hitting, right?
Well, let's keep in mind that every time a neutral objective actually happens, we see that Kyle Teasy actually goes for a slight invade, sees what camps that he wants to take, knowing that it's going to be difficult to fight for it, so you might as well get some gold on the side. Skim off the top a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's doing really well right now for Team Philippines, right? Looking at the scoreboard, 4-0, especially with that turtle take as well that Cambodia were able to get early on. I expected the goal lead to be purely on Cambodia's side. So Philippines have been able to manage their losses really, really well right now. And we're going to see them, again, try to look for the siege down below. That should be successful here with the Bennett and the cannon minion. Ogwen doing a good job at zoning them away right now and is looking for more. Grouping up Super Chama. Reads something isn't right here. Just walks around. So take a look at the items.
Nothing too crazy so far. We do see the Genius Wand already completed from Few, and it looks like he's going to eventually go into the Feather of Heaven to get a little bit of attack speed when he is completely out of cooldowns but has empowered autos. Let's see whether the same situation happens again, right? Like, keep your eyes on Flaps Easy. If he gets on top of Chima, then you know he's going to pull him out.
Good cancel on Deathless Welcome though. ATM baited in. Ogwen able to flicker out right now. Splap TZ is mounting D7, bringing him back to the team. The real world manipulation is still able to zone the other members away, and it's Super Chama with the retribution. Call TZ can be caught. There's a Divine Judgment comes through. ATM with a flicker down, and the Vengeance as well. But the Shadow Kill comes in clutch to take the kill back. It's a 1 for 1. ATM for Flap, but Cambodia were able to secure the neutral objective.
Man, that's such a scam there. It looked like his that vengeance should have worked. Oh, Kyle's dead here, right? Nope, he's still alive! Even though he doesn't get his purple buff, he can technically stick around if he wants to, but Cambodia are not gonna let him.
Again, good oppression here, good capitalization as well of the neutral objective and the kill take there. Cambodia are able to get another turret so that the gold lead will maybe start to grow, because somehow Philippines are still holding on to that gold lead. Finally, it goes over to Cambodia, but it's only like 100 gold lead at this point, and it's still even, which is absolutely crazy considering how many structures that Cambodia have gone in the mid lane and even the neutral objective.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Cambodia, in terms of the way that they're managing their resources, like, they have to stick as 5. They can't just go by themselves into the side lane, and we know that, we know for a fact that D7 has a really vital job. He can't be the one going into the side, so ATM has to do it, but even ATM recognizes that he needs to push people back into the CCAT ult, and they all have to be together to make this machine work.
Okay, real world inflation coming down, but Bennett's rage as well. Ogwen able to find a Divine Judgment onto ATM to stop the CC from happening. You think that maybe you want to use the Divine Judgment on the Yi, but in that particular position, it would have been really good to go for the Arlet. Now even a dodge away with the enhanced sword over to Deathless Welcome as Flap TZ mounts Super Chama. They're able to take him out, and Super Marco picks it up, gonna be able to take another turret as well. Meanwhile though, Cambodia do not stand idly by. They also get a turret down below.
Yep, and this is what I'm talking about. The Philippines are spreading out their are trying to spread out their resources and are extremely efficient. But at least Cambodia have started to pick up on this, right? They're splitting themselves up, and obviously it's not ideal that they lose members, but at least they get structures on the opposite side of the map.
Okay, FlapTZ once again in the front right there, popping a split, buying a lot of time. No Super Chama. This is a very risky attempt to steal. And Philippines read that out, just instantly bursts out the Lord, backs away, no team fight, no overcommitment here. And Philippines, 2,000 gold ahead now, despite only having 4 kills in this game, losing the kill department.
Yeah, and Kyle right now, he's kind of huge. He's been maintaining this level lead over Chima the entire game. The early game, they were dead even, and we saw that Super Chima was able to get at least 1 level, and then he dies, and from then on, he's just been struggling. FlapTZ, he's too far ahead at this stage of the game. These neutral objectives are very difficult for Super Chima to actually walk up to, considering that FlapTZ keeps splitting.
Again, it's going to be the isolation here. D7 brought to the bed, its rage, forced to use the Blessing of the Moon Goddess. Now it's still FlapTZ onto him. ATM is waiting for the chance to go for the final slash right now, but FlapTZ is able to flicker out to safety. This fadeaway comes through. Flap will fall to the basic attacks of Fury. No trade backs just for now, but the turrets will certainly fall in the mid lane and even in the top lane. With the Lord coming down, they're going to have to try to micromanage it, and this will definitely be Philippines who takes all the tier 2.
And this is perfect for them. This is perfect. At least they've kind of set themselves apart from the Cambodians, and now they've created an entire area. Walk out of your base, this is a kill zone. And now for people, and especially for FlapTZ, he can now start going for flank plays. Ogwin can start going for ambush plays in the bushes. I thought for a second that Super Marco flickered there, but he was just switching weapon, thank God.
Yeah.
FlapTZ finishing up his build, and now that the neutral objective is still on cooldown, right? 76 more seconds, this is where the Philippines is going to starve out Cambodia.
It's a signature, right? The strategy we've seen so many times when you're ahead, when you have a gold lead, when you have the map pressure, you just want to try to suffocate your opponents as much as possible. And yeah, that's what Philippines are doing right now. They're just waiting on the next neutral objective because there's no real reason to force anything right now. They just need to play very patiently. They've already taken all the tier 2s. They're just waiting to crack that base open. Maybe if they get a good pick, if they get a good read, and if they're able to bait a few of the members from Cambodia to walk out of the base, then it will be pretty good for the Philippines to look for that pick off. But other than that, I don't think they should do anything. They should just focus on, again, freezing up these waves. But not even, man. They just want to keep on pushing it in, actually. Philippines shoving in that top lane turret, the mid lane, and even the bottom lane here. So, what's the deal?
I guess they see them in the mid lane, right? They see them in the mid lane, they want them to move as 5 and see if they can get an isolated target, because technically the Lord is about to spawn. So keep in mind that the Cambodians are probably thinking, okay, we need to get some vision over it. We need to kind of know what's the situation. We still have our magic sentries up, but we're not going to use it until the very last second, because again, the Philippines, they're not going to be able to chunk this down very, very quickly unless they have all 5 of their members.
Good slow push built up in the top lane there. It is going to be crashing down with the next wave coming in, and that should actually force one member to go over, and it is forcing ATM. A good pull as well from the rest of the team Philippines here on the Lord. ATM versus Few. Few's actually winning in this 1v1, and this is what the Julian actually gives to your team, right? A whole lot of that pressure when it comes to the duos. FlapTZ down below now. Ogwen with the Divine Judgment onto the carry. Fury gonna be pulled back, but he's still able to escape right now with the Blessing of the Moon Goddess. As the Shadow Kill comes through, it should be able to take him down with the Mount as well. Super Chama follows him to the grave. Kyle TZ has a double kill here. Oh, Few is able to escape, and he flickers nowhere to find ATM. Philippines able to out macro Cambodia, and they're able to find 3 pickoffs just with different angles.
Honestly, that split screen, I was about to point out that Ogwen was in position in the lane brush to make this happen, and now they're pressing the advantage to try and crack open these inhibitors. They're gonna back off because there's no more minions just yet until Lore comes on through, but this is a beautiful position to be in for the Philippines, right? Now the high ground defense might get a little difficult, right? They've got enough wave clear, and with this Lord, it technically should be enough.
Oh man, you can see the respect given. Flicker out. They use the real world manipulation to try to go for Super Marco. And now with no high ground control, technically that RWM was used up. This will give Philippines a chance to actually try to look for some more. But Calteezy is definitely not in position. Mid lane wave already been shoved down as well. Flap, wow, he wants to go for it. They want to go for it. They get brought back to the team at the final slash. The Divine Judgment finds Super Chama. Flapteezy able to escape with a split. How do they get out of that one?
Look, I have no real answer for you. I'm just as surprised
Oh
as you
God.
are. They both go in there. They both so deep, and then the counter engage from ATM with the final slash to push them underneath Crystal. You can see how stunned he is. He's just standing there like, guys, how? We have Fury. He does true damage. Let's pull up the items and let's see what he has right now. I mean, he's one item off full build, but he's got the important trinity of items, the Corrosion Side, Golden Staff, and the DHS against super tanky members, which his passive technically counters with the true damage. So how?
Oh man, I'm trying to think of it as well, because if we take a look at the items for Flap, there's nothing really too surprising, right? It's just a very standard glue build here. Just Radiant Armor, Anti-Curse as well. Building towards, there's probably another physical defense item or maybe an immortality, depending on what he wants to go for. But again, yeah, nothing too special there. It was just well played, I guess, from Team Philippines to be able to escape from a very, very aggressive play. But even then, it's the timing that's really impressive for Team Philippines, right? Because when they go for that crazy play, when they go for a very unnecessary team fight, it's always when it is not crucial. The timing is very good because the Lord was not up. It was still super far from being up, and there was no punish that Cambodia could possibly give over to Team Philippines, even if Flapteezy was caught.
Yeah, and they also did it when the waves responding. At the waves responding, so at least they had some form of spell vamp on top of the fact that at least they stagger the waves even more. So the Philippines have gotten these motions down. It is second nature to them. Few is hiding in a really good ambush spot. The problem is on the opposite side of the map. I'm more scared of Ogwin and Super Marco just menacingly sitting in that brush. Like, the Philippines are fishing for information. The question is, will Cambodia give it to them?
I don't know if that's gonna be happening here. I don't know if they're gonna be giving it away to Team Philippines right now. You can already see again, it's just that slow push being built up. They have all the base turrets taken out, so the super minions will be coming through. They don't even need to manage it, but they decide to go for it anyways. They want to shove in that mid lane and build slow pushes in the far lane. Bot lane's gonna be held up a bit more. Super Chama is already looking for an opening here, some way to get out of this desperate situation for Cambodia, because again, they can't really send the Arlet purely into that far lane. Arlet is a mobile hero in team fights, not across the rotation of the map. Up top, all the way down below, that's a lot of time that they're going to be missing away from the Lord Pit that, if you take a look already, Ogwin has positioned very strategically to try to look for a pick-off from the flanks.
Yeah, it's, I mean, Shima is now all by himself, and if they can bait at least the ultimate coming in from D7, that would be the most ideal, right? That gives them the green light to fight. That gives them all the tools that they need to actually deal damage to Cambodia without them, walking around, not having to fear it. Now, on the other hand, we do see that the ambush on the bottom side of the map, nobody is walking up to it right now. And Cambodia, they're sniffing this out. They're like, something doesn't seem very right. We don't see Ogwin. We don't see where Super Marco is. And the fact that they're slowly doing this, Lord, yeah, here we go.
There it is, Ogwin now with the Divine Judgment, Bennett's Rage as well onto D7 with the Beater's Passion. D7 gonna be caught low, still even regen. Super Marco finds the kill on the Super Chama as a shadow kill takes D7 down. That's the immortality pot for D7 and Fury. Few now liberal damage, he does magic, so the Wind of Nature does nothing. It's a double kill, and the immortality is the only thing that Cambodia can take from Philippines. A wipeout in the 19th minute of the game. Philippines are able to outsmart Cambodia to take a 3-0 clean sweep.
a huge flag coming in from the Philippines to start off that fight.
Wow.
And you could see instantaneously the reaction time for the Cambodians are great, but was it the correct call? It was not. Utilizing the Estes ult super early on allowed them to give the Philippines a free fight, and once they saw that, you saw Kyle, he's like, I don't need objectives no more. Get me in the middle of that mess.
Wow, well played again. Even throughout this game, it's the same kind of story, right? Cambodia were able to force a lot of these skirmishes, a lot of these fights onto the neutral objectives, but that objective game and the vision of the team and the mentality of the team to keep on going with their win conditions is really what gave Philippines the way to win the game. Because if they went through, if they tried to just go with what Cambodia was doing, they would have obviously lost, right? They always were trading, they were always invading, they weren't really going to go for any of these commits. Even in the early game, like you mentioned, the reason they were able to keep their losses to a minimal was the fact that they always were farming and invading during these moments where, you know, as the Ube comp does, has to group up for neutral objectives. You can actually split and you can actually take a lot of these objectives and camps away.
Yep, and just keep this in mind for everybody watching. If you do have a stack of 5 and you want your jungler Hayabusa to get ahead, even though you're up against a Demon Slayer style tank jungler, learn how to do the turtle dance. Learn how to maximize the time on your hero. Slow it down if you have to. It's super frustrating for pub players online to deal and get quote-unquote super patient. They just want to rush things down. And as soon as they make that mistake of rushing, they're so often, 9 out of 10 times, you will find one person either slow, coming into the fight a little slow, or one person a little too far ahead of the fight.
Exactly right. At this point as well, the Lord Dance really, like you mentioned, really played the biggest impact, I would say, in towards the later stage of the game, right? Turtles, I think Philippines were very comfortable with just giving it away. It's fine because they could trade, but when it mattered, when it was the Enhanced Lord, the Evolved Lord, it matters to both of these teams, and they were able to utilize that with the map pressure that they were able to build, with the turret takes, to, again, use that Lord Dance so efficiently. They were just constantly making forced errors happen, right? They were forcing Cambodia to make all the errors. Arlet has to go into the top lane, Yves has to go into the mid lane, Super Chima all alone, and when you are able to split an Ube comp, that's how you dissect it, right? It was just clinical, honestly. Very clinical, very smart, intelligent, clean with a capital K game.
Truly a clean game. Like, I would have imagined, like, everything we mentioned earlier to some degree actually happened. You know, we were expecting Barat to sit on neutral objectives, we expected him to be a level up, and yes, that was true for the early game, but as soon as that kind of spun around on it, oh yeah, we're going to see Bren try to play the map, and once again, while the turtle dance is happening, invades were occurring, turrets were starting to fall at the same time, and it shows you how much value Beatrix brings to a team composition in comparison to something like a carry. The true damage is so vital against tanks, but when you're ahead, and especially when you're a one-item marksman, get that BOD, get a pair of shoes just for movement speed, that's perfect. I'm going to destroy all of your outer tier turrets and utilize the extra space bot to allow my jungler to walk in your jungle for free.
Super flexible, right? That's what Beatrix brings to the table, the flexibility of this hero. If you're behind, you can always just pop at that Bennett. If you are ahead, you can always just use the Renner to actually go and poke them out, get them down, get them low. But if you want a team fight, there's a lot of weapons, even in scenarios where a lot of people want to just dive into you. There's always that Wesker, a very underrated weapon that we haven't seen a whole lot from, but when the time is right, Sir Marco loves to go for that random Wesker as well that ultimately punishes a lot of the people who, have completely forgotten about that weapon. And again, that's what Beatrix brings to the table. That flexibility is really something very crucial to have in a composition. That's why the Valentina gives so much value to the team as well, with the flexibility of taking the ultimate and forcing that way of gameplay on your opponents. So we're going to see the match summary just in a bit, ladies and gentlemen, for game number 3. But it is confirmed number 1 for the C region will be Team Philippines. Number 2, Cambodia. Both of these teams will still be going and moving forward over to the offline Asian Championships for MLBB, where there are 8 slots already confirmed. Kazakhstan from Central Asia, Mongolia from East Asia, UAE from West Asia, Cambodia, Philippines right here from Southeast Asia, and we will be seeing also 2 from Nepal and Bangladesh. That's our next match, but we'll be seeing the seeding as well, similarly to this match.
Best of 5s are great. You really get to see, you know, the thought processes when it comes down to the draft. You get to see everything that they're willing to put up, and I'm curious to see what the stats are at the very end here. Let's have a look at the summary and kind of break this down here. If there's anything out of the ordinary, I would honestly love to see like a very particular stat. How many camps did Kyle TZ steal? Like, I'm very curious, because the fact is the Philippines were even, like, despite being down in gold, they weren't down by that much. And for some reason, by the end of the game, they had like, what, an 8K, almost 7K gold lead?
It's crazy. Again, it's absolutely crazy. At one point in this game, Gideon, Philippines were down 4-0, and they had the 1,000 gold lead. Again, it's bonkers, but it is very, very, very Filipino, right? That's their style. That's what they've been able to do so many times before. That objective gameplay that they have the grasp on compared to other regions who still, you know, really like to go for these team fights, really like to go for these skirmishes. But your MVP for game number 3, oh my God, it's back. The streak is back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Super Marco. Wow, with another MVP.
Yep, this is the redemption game. He was like, okay, the last game my Beatrix wasn't that great. This time I got you guys. No worries, no worries. I'm a carry. Trust me. I'm gonna get it back. And he proves why. He's such an efficient player, right? He is extremely hyper aware. And as much as I love the Cambodian team, Burn X Flash put up a good fight against Bren. They have the correct ideas, but they lack experience in these nuances. For example, how many teams do you actually see go for that particular play on that lane brush, for an example, right? It's only common for teams and especially leagues that have been going around for a long time. MPL Indonesia, for an example, that's where you see it more commonly as well. And for very select few teams in MPL MY who actually abuse the pickoffs in that lane.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Once again, we're going to be taking a look at the qualified teams once again before we go on a break, I believe. So let's take a look at it right now. Boys and girls, this is it. The Asian Regional Qualifiers is coming to an end with our final match later. But the qualified to Gamers8 IESF Asian Championships will be Team Philippines as the #1 seed from Southeast Asia.
Congratulations to the Philippines. Also, our second seed for the Asia Regional Qualifiers, it's going to be Cambodia. Burn X Flash has gone quite the distance here today.
Cambodia, again, with a very solid performance, you know, even though they lost earlier, it is a loss that was honestly not bad. It wasn't a bad loss whatsoever. They were able to force 2 very long games from Team Philippines, the team who's been absolutely dominating, the team that are favorites to take the whole thing here at IESF as well. So you gotta give them credit. With this new team that Cambodia is putting on, I feel like improvement is definitely something that we will see in the future, even now, from the time of now to the Asian qualifier or the Asian Championship, Gideon.
Yes, you know, with so many international tournaments coming up, it's great to see that, you know, IESF is taking an initiative to try and merge sports and adding and making that a very intertwined area to make it all come together. So I'm glad to see great representation here in Southeast Asia and across the world.
IESF, the Global World Esports Championships, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be taking a look at the next match first, because Bangladesh versus Nepal, those are the 2 countries that are going to go as well towards the Asian Championships. But we will be watching the match and casting the match, a full best of 5, to see who gets seated in first place and second place. So for all of you guys who are, you know, pretty sad that the match is over, don't worry, we got one more for you.
There's so much more excitement to have, and we're getting to see regions that we've never seen on an international stage before. I'm ready to be surprised. I'm sure Bella Jave is gonna be is willing to be surprised. I know for a fact, Mirko, you're looking for the next, like, there's gotta be a region out there that can take down the Filipino dynasty. We just haven't found it yet.
For sure, man. We're waiting for that, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of developing regions will show their fangs here at IESF, and I can't wait to see what Bangladesh and Nepal have in store for us. Who's going to be the best in South Asia, right? Because that's a question that a lot of people have been asking. Where are the other teams outside of Southeast Asia? And we're finally getting to see them here, Gideon, to see them all live, to play on stage at a very high level, to see their drafts, their strategies, anything unique that will come through from their identities of a country, because we've seen in Southeast Asia all the different countries have all the different unique identities. But on that note, it's been Mirko and our guest caster Gideon Q. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for the final match of the day. We'll see you after this break.
heart of Iași, Romania, the world's top gamers have gathered for the ultimate showdown. IESF brings heart-stopping matches across a variety of gaming genres in an electrifying experience that celebrates the passion and dedication of esports athletes from around the globe. This is more than just a tournament. This is where champions are born, legends are made, and anything is possible. Get ready to witness the ultimate display of skill, strategy, and heart. The IESF World Esports Championship. It's about to take your breath.
Do you think you've got what it takes? The challenge will be tougher than ever. In 2023, international esports has a new home. Over 100 nations fighting for the championship in a celebration of everything that makes esports great. Who will rise up to the challenge? Who will be the world champion?
Esports athletes from around the globe. This is more than just a tournament. This is where champions are born, legends are made, and anything is possible. Get ready to witness the ultimate display of skill, strategy, and heart. The IESF World Esports Championship. It's about to take your breath away.
Do you think you've got what it takes? The challenge will be tougher than ever. In 2023, international esports has a new home. Over 100 nations fighting for the championship in a celebration of everything that makes esports great. Who will rise up to the challenge? Who will be the world champion?
In the heart of Iași, Romania, the world's top gamers have gathered for the ultimate showdown. IESF brings heart-stopping matches across a variety of gaming genres in an electrifying experience that celebrates the passion and dedication of esports athletes from around the globe. This is more than just a tournament. This is where champions are born, legends are made, and anything is possible. Get ready to witness the ultimate display of skill, strategy, and heart. The IESF World Esports Championship. It's about to take your breath away.
Do you think you've got what it takes? The challenge will be tougher than ever. In 2023, international esports has a new home. Over 100 nations fighting for the championship in a celebration of everything that makes esports great. Who will rise up to the challenge? Who will be the world champion?